Okay, let's do a little thought experiment. Picture this. You're the leader of a country, and you've just been handed a shocking, just historic defeat at the polls. Your allies, they're turning on you. Your entire career is hanging by a thread. So what do? Do you resign to save your party? Or do you stay and try to steer the ship through this massive storm? That is the high-stakes dilemma we are diving into.
So in our scenario, the whole drama kicks off in July 2025. Japan's ruling party, which is led by Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba, suffers an absolutely devastating loss in the House of Councilors election. And we're not talking about a minor setback here. No, this is a seismic event that shakes the government right to its very core.
And the fallout is immediate. I mean, before the final results are even in, 75 members of Ishiba's own party formally hand in a letter demanding he resign. This isn't just pressure from the outside. This is a full-blown rebellion from within his own ranks.
Well, this just sets up a brutal political battle that pretty much paralyzes the entire nation. You've got this powerful chorus on one side demanding he step down, and on the other, you have a leader who's digging in his heels, arguing that leaving now would be even more dangerous. To really get the stakes here, we've got to look at the crisis his party is now facing.
So the first thing you have to understand is that this election loss created a very specific and very, very difficult problem for governing. It's a situation they actually call a twisted diet in Japan. And what this creates is a state of near total gridlock. See, by losing their majority in both the upper and lower houses of parliament, the ruling party's power is just crippled. They can't easily pass laws anymore, they can't approve budgets, they can't move their agenda forward. The government is basically stuck in political quicksand.
Which, of course, brings us to the first side of this whole debate, the overwhelming argument that Shiba has to resign. For this camp, him staying on isn't just, politically awkward. It's a direct threat to the functioning of the state.
Their case really rests on four main pillars. First, that political paralysis we just talked about. Second, a total loss of public trust. Third, policy inconsistency. His government did this sudden U-turn on a major tax policy right before the election, which, to critics, just reeked of desperation. And finally, that rebellion of 75 party members, it proves he's lost control. You put those four things together, and it paints a picture of a leader who has lost all legitimacy to govern.
And this quote right here, it really gets to the very heart of their argument. It's all about democratic accountability. They believe that when the people speak so clearly in an election, a leader has a fundamental responsibility to listen and step aside. To do anything else is basically to ignore the will of the voters. But of course, Ishiba and his supporters see things very, very differently. They've got a powerful counterargument. Resigning in the middle of this crisis would be the most irresponsible thing he could possibly do. Their logic is pretty straightforward. A leadership change right now would just trigger a chaotic power struggle that could last for months. This would make the political instability even worse, it would send a signal of weakness out to the world, and it would completely halt any chance of governing. They're arguing that Ishiba's experience is absolutely essential to navigate these turbulent waters. And they've got data to back up these fears. An OECD report from 2023, for example, found a connection between frequent changes in government and slower growth in foreign investment. This really highlights their central concern. A revolving door of leaders doesn't just look bad, it can have real, tangible economic consequences.
So this is where we get to the central clash of this entire debate. Both sides are arguing for stability, right? But they have completely opposite definitions of what that word actually means. Is stability about continuity? Or is it about having a leader with a legitimate mandate to lead?
For the resign now camp, stability is just impossible without trust. They argue that a leader who's lost the support of the public and his own party is the source of the chaos. Keeping him in power only guarantees more gridlock and more dysfunction. But for the stay the course camp, stability means avoiding a power vacuum at all costs. For them, the biggest danger is the messy, unpredictable process of finding a new leader while the country is vulnerable. They believe true stability means keeping an experienced captain at the helm, even if the ship is pretty badly damaged. When you step back, this isn't just a story about Japanese politics. It's a universal dilemma that gets to the very heart of what leadership really means in a democracy when things go wrong. It all boils down to two completely different definitions of political responsibility. Is a leader's duty to accept the verdict of the people and step aside for a fresh start? Or is their duty to stay, to take the hits, and to manage the crisis, even if it's one they helped create? Which leaves us with this final question. When a leader is faced with catastrophic failure, What is the true act of leadership? Is it having the humility to resign or the resilience to remain? It's a choice with no easy answer, and it's one that defines not just the fate of a leader, but the future of a nation.